So, Cucumber feature. Remember that if you are going to write a Cucumber script, if you are going to write a script in BDD, especially with Cucumber, feature file is very important file where you are going to mention every functionality related to your automation script in that feature file. First, let us discuss about what is meant by feature. Feature is nothing but it's a functionality in the project. Feature is nothing but it's a functionality in the project. So I think everyone knows about what is meant by functionality and all those things. So just for example, for our reference, we can say login to the application is one functionality. Logout from the application is one functionality. Create or delete user from the application is another functionality. So like that, there are different functionalities that you are going to face. Each and every functionality is nothing but single feature. Means it is not depending upon, when we are talking about the word feature, means it is completely an independent task where you are going to perform independently. Okay, so where you are going to perform independently, you are not going to depend upon this one into this one, this one into this one. In terms of Cucumber I am talking. Okay, basically you'll get a question here. Logout depends upon login only, right? Then why we are saying that both are independent? So I agree with that. Both are, once you log in, then only you can log out from the application. But when we are talking about the term feature, the action that you are performing is individually, means independently I am saying. So due to that reason, each and everything is nothing but a feature. Okay, so once this features has been defined, so you thought there are three features in this particular application. So in that features scenarios will be included. Scenarios will be included. So what type of scenarios that are going to be included here, we will see. But remember that every feature will have multiple scenarios or single scenario. Okay, a feature a feature will have scenarios, and a file which contains features this is the definition of feature file. A file which contains features, which is nothing but description of functionality, description about the functionality or feature, scenarios that needs to be tested, is known as feature file. means simply we are going to create feature file in our Cucumber. So let me show you how I have been created with that. I have created this sample project. Once I have been created this sample project, by default, this src folder will be created. Once this src folder will be created, I am going to create packages in that. In this package, I have been created a class file. I'll let you know whatever the things that we are showing now. I'll explain it to you clearly. Don't worry about that. But I'm talking about feature, right? So this is the feature folder that we have been created. So once I have created this feature folder, in that feature file has been created. In this feature file, I have listed down all the scenarios that needs to be tested in this particular action. So see here, one thing I have done: login action. Successfully login with valid credentials. Given user is on the home page. When user navigates to login page and user enters username and password, then message displayed login successfully. After that, scenario mentioned with successfully logout. When user logout from the application, then message displayed logout successfully. Here, my theme here is I don't want to check logout functionality here. Just I have mentioned one scenario as a part of login action. Once you click on logout button, what will happen? Again, it will navigate to login page only. Again it will navigate to login page only. Here, when I am trying to perform some action, remember that a feature must contain multiple scenarios or single scenario. If you don't want to mention, you can just remove this and you can create one more file. So right click on feature, click on new, click on file. So in this file I am going to create the file name. So is this the right way that I have been created? Is this the right way that I have been created? Anyone from this list, attendees list? Then what is the correct way? Then what we need to be done here? Okay. What type of mapping that you are expecting? We can do that one. It is an alternative way, right? This is an alternative way to avoid the confusion, and to understand. If someone wants to understand, by combining 100 lines of code and understanding that 100 lines of code is different, uh, uh, instead of 10 lines of code written in 10 parts, right? So not at configured. So we will discuss still step definition. We haven't moved till that part. How many files you end up with creating? So there is no rule for that, right? Is there any rule that you have seen? Okay. So it's our comfortable. That is what. So if mapping means, mapping is all in our hands. Just you can copy the same feature, or else as you said, just or else you can just have this scenario in that file itself. That is also fine for us. If someone wants to understand it clearly, I have separated both the things. Done. So this is what the feature file needs to be. Still we need to have some add-ons to this keywords, highlight these keywords. So I'll show it to you how it needs to be. So one more thing, one more point here. So question from Harshita, what do you think is the best idea to create different files or write them in single file? Write them in single file is better compared to writing in different files. For our training purpose, I have to show you clearly, right? That is the reason I have divided individually. But in our real time, we are not going to follow that one. Everyone used to create a feature file and they are going to mention the related scenarios in that feature file itself. Who will take the burden? Who will give the burden to your script? If you are going to create multiple feature file means execution time will be more, because it has to access that file and it has to open it has to check whether the feature is there or not, and it has to check whether the scenario mentioned is correct or not. Everything needs to be checked over there. So due to that, it will take time taking process for you. So in that case, no one will give that much pressure or burden to the script, right? Due to that reason, you can go ahead with single file with multiple scenarios. It is just to understand purpose I have done like that. Don't get confusion. Did I convey the answer? Okay. Next point is every every feature file, whatever the feature file that you are going to create, whatever the file that you have been created in your Eclipse programming interface, the file extension will be the file feature file is dot feature. The file extension will be dot feature. Like examples like login functionality dot feature, login functionality dot feature, like that. The file extension will be like this. Login functionality dot feature, like this. Few more example based on the above scenarios we have mentioned here is, so to create the account, create user dot feature, delete user dot feature, like that. You can create multiple feature file and respective scenarios included in that feature file. This is what the feature file related to. Understand? Now, what feature file included with? What feature file included with? So already we discussed about this concept. A sample Cucumber script will have the set of keywords which are nothing but given, when, then, and, or, like that. But the same thing, just I am going to list it down here. The feature file will consist of feature, description, which is an optional thing. Background, scenario given when, then, and, or, like that. But here, out of all these points, feature, description, background, scenario given when, then, and, or, out of all these things, we haven't discussed about description. What is this description? What is mean by description? We said this is an optional thing here. We said this is an optional thing. No need to include this as a mandatory thing. Just it is an optional case. If you want to mention it, you can mention it. If you don't want, you can just leave it. So description is nothing but whatever the feature that you have mentioned, whatever the feature name that you have mentioned. For example, create user.feature is the feature. Create user is the feature. So if you want to describe that particular create user name, create user word, so you can use this description part to include what you want to describe about the feature. What you want to describe about the feature. So like suppose, let's say for example, the feature is create user. Description is create an user in the user module of the application and the username should start with something named like Smith. So I want to give this option. So if you want to use this option, you can use, or else no need to describe that particular feature. The remaining things are as usual. If you want to go ahead with the remaining scenario given when, then, those are all mandatory things where we need to follow. And or are nothing but, these two are nothing but condition based. If you want to provide conditions, you can use this one. If you don't want to provide conditions, no need to use this and comma are. But maximum cases we are going to use and are also. Okay, if you, maximum cases we are going to give conditions. Either this condition should pass or that condition should pass, or both conditions need to be passed, like that we are going to provide. Due to that reason, and or we are going to provide in the feature file. So any questions in this part? No questions? Okay, fine. We will continue with this. So I have created one feature file. Is this enough to design the, is this enough to execute the script? Is this enough to execute the Cucumber script? Did we completed the task what we want to design in Cucumber or BDD by using all these options? By using all these options, did we completed the task that what we want to create in Cucumber? No, we haven't completed it. Just we have created one functionality along with the scenarios. Along with the scenarios. Now, we have completed only the task related to feature file. We haven't completed how to execute all these things. Let's say for example, this one only. Did I mention URL anywhere else? This is the create user feature I want to write. Description I have mentioned. Background I didn't mention. Background is something like logged in successfully. Scenario I will mention. So log into the application step by step. I will mention. Given username and password. When means something what needs to be done. Then means what happened till now, and or means conditions. But I haven't mentioned the important thing like where it is going to be executed, what step related to which functionality, and all those things. Due to that reason, feature file is not enough job in Cucumber. There is some other file which creates a link between this feature file and that some other file. That other file is known as step definitions. Step definitions. That other concept is nothing but step definitions. Once we created this step definition, then only we can say that Cucumber has been pointed successfully to this particular step definition file. Okay, so simple example we can say here is this is the functionality we have been mentioned in the feature file, but will the Cucumber knows that which functionality has to be executed first and which needs to be executed after that? No, Cucumber will never know. We need to point everything into our control, and we need to point that mapping to that particular specific file what we have been created. Due to that reason, we are going to talk about the concept of step definition. Okay, this definition, step definition file included the mapping point in between each step of the scenario defined in the feature file with a code of function to be executed. So here this step definition file included with mapping point in between each step defined in the feature file with code of function to be executed. I hope, do you guys questions in this, or do you have any questions in this point? No questions? Okay. So let me explain you. This step definition file included the mapping point in between each step defined in the feature file with the code of function to be executed. Indirectly, we are saying step definition file is nothing but it is a code of function that needs to be executed. Indirectly, we are saying in this definition, step definition is nothing but it is a file which will include which will contain the step of code or function of code that needs to be executed. Suppose I want to enter an username. I want to enter username, and then I want to enter password. I want to enter username and I want to enter password. How the feature file knows that Cucumber is executing this username related command, and Cucumber is executing password related command. How it will know? Cucumber will never know about that point. So did you mention anywhere in the did you mention username anywhere in the program? No, we haven't mentioned here. Just we have given a statement like given enter username, given enter username and password, like that we have mentioned in the feature file. But from where this username and password is going to invoke into your Cucumber script? From this step definition file. From this step definition file. So did you guys understand what is mean by step definition? Okay. Now, So we will discuss in detail about the next point, nothing but scenario. The next point, nothing but scenario. What is this scenario? We know already, like this is a one of the keyword in Jerkin. So scenario will be included in feature file. Is this enough for us to know about what is meant by scenario? I'll say yes. Yes, this is enough for us to know about the scenario. What is meant by scenario, how it will be. But some more description we need to have regarding scenario. That is the reason I am explaining the concept separately. Scenario, it is one of the keyword in Jerkin language. Every scenario starts with the keyword. Every scenario starts with the keyword scenario. This is the keyword. It will get started with this keyword. Scenario will be started with this keyword. Every scenario will have this keyword. Without this one, it will not be considered as a scenario. Okay. Each feature file may have one scenario or more than one scenario. As we have seen already in the feature file of logging successfully, we have mentioned two scenarios there. So a feature file may have one scenario or multiple scenarios. Understand? So this is about scenario. Any questions in this? Below are the set of rules that we need to follow while writing the script. So what are the below rules? So just now we discussed scenarios will be included in feature file. This feature file will be consisting of scenarios, scenario or scenarios. In this scenario, we are going to have test steps, which will be mentioned in given, which is nothing but given, when, then, like that. So the steps will be defined in this particular Jerkin using Jerkin keywords. So the rule, we can't say this as a rule, this might be an instruction or suggestion, we can say. Rule or suggestion we can say, apart from rule. So the suggestion here is, if possible, write the steps individually. That is the best practice. Write the steps individually or independently, we can say. So what is this independently or individually you are talking about? Suppose I have this one given, enter username and enter password. I have written the statement like this. In a single statement, I have completed the task related to two fields. So don't go with such type of practices. The best practice is given, enter username, given, enter password. The best practice you can have it here is, you can go with individual things. Don't go with combination way. Don't combine everything and don't put it in a single statement. It will create a lot of confusion when you are understanding the program, how it is going to be executed. This is one type of suggestion. Okay, in the initial days of your scripting, that is fine to create, like, to design the script independently or individually. But when you get experience, or when you get a chance to look into that, when you are capable to write complex scenarios and all those things, you can have one common scenario where it will being used with multiple cases, where it is being used with multiple cases. Simple example, I can say, you'll have Gmail application. In this Gmail application, you are going to have inbox, sent items, drafts, trash, spam. Example, this is, so in this Gmail application, you have 5 feeds. You have 5 modules here. One is inbox, sent items, drafts, trash, and spam. What is the common functionality in all these modules? Anyone? Any guess? What is the common thing in all these 5 modules? Exactly, login. Login is the most common thing in order to have all these modules. When you get experience, or when you understand the Cucumber script easily, then write a Cucumber script stating that login functionality will be the separate task, and that login functionality will be used in all the modules with that single line description. No need to write login functionality again in inbox, sent items, drafts, trash, and spam separately. Just you have defined it for one time, and you are going to reuse the same login functionality in multiple ways, in multiple scripts, right? So that is also one of the good practice you can have in this Cucumber. Any questions till now? Hope you guys understood the concept what I am saying, because if we know this concept, then only we'll be able to write the scripts easily. We can understand the scripts easily, otherwise it is somewhat difficult to understand. Due to that reason, I am explaining independently each and everything. Okay, now the concept of annotations. Annotations, did you heard the word this annotation? Okay, fine, that's nice. So why we are going to use annotation? What is the purpose of annotation? Simple word we can say, to control the execution. To control the execution. Suppose you have written one program, you wrote one program. Once you wrote that program, if you want to execute the same script or program, you have to control how it, you have to see how the program is going to be executed, or you have to control the execution flow. The first part of this program needs to be executed like this, the second part needs to be executed like this, third part will be this one, like that. If you want to control what needs to be executed first and what needs to be executed next, that all depends upon the term annotation. This is a predefined text which will be used to control the execution part of a program or script. Program or script. Already we have seen this annotations. The keywords in Jerkins are nothing but annotations, we can say. So those are nothing but, we have some other list in this: given, when, then, and, or we can use but. Scenario is one of the annotation. Scenario outline, and one more thing, background. One more thing is background. These are nothing but annotations. Just this annotation word, annotation keyword will be defined like this. How you are going to define this given keyword as an annotation means, prior to that we are going to provide @ symbol. This is nothing but annotation. This is nothing but annotations. We will discuss about in detail of this annotation in the next session. So maybe I hope I'm going to start scripting part from tomorrow's session, or max to max on Thursday session. I'm going to write the program. If this content is going to be completed tomorrow, then we'll start scripting part in tomorrow's session itself. Otherwise, tomorrow we will complete the content part and then we'll move to scripting part on Thursday.